The following is a true story. The names have not been changed to piss off the innocent. As far back as I can remember, I joined the website of YCP, otherwise known as YouChew Poop, way back sometime in 2009. That's as far back as I can remember, because that's when I was there. If I tried to remember anything before then, I couldn't because I wasn't there yet. Yeah? But you know, there was an incident about 3 or 4 days ago that I remember pretty well. Yes, I remember it as if it was 3 or 4 days ago. It got named under the file, The Great YCP Caper. It was many months ago, when YCP was still getting used to their brand new layout. Dobley and the rest of the mods were strapped for cash, and they were scared they were going to lose their server, and YCP would have to sleep with the fishes. Until a certain stranger walked into their life. Mr. Dobley was working late one night when there was a knock at his door. He opened the door, and there he stood. Bald-headed, double-wide, and single-minded. Star Trek The Next Generation t-shirt covered in ketchup stains from last night's dinner. Dobley quickly disassembled his cock and put it in 14 drawers and said, "Ah, who the fuck are you?" The stranger looked right at him and said, "Hello, I'm Eric Osborne. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. All around you are debts, money that you don't have. See? I'd like to finance the site for you. In return, I'll offer you a server and a spot as a tech staff man." And so Dobley took up on the offer and let him become a tech staff. For a while, he ran updates and tried unexpected stunts with forum software because he was paying for the site. Basically, the mods just let him do whatever the hell they wanted because it was his site for the time being. I really think the forum could use a couple more buttons and gadgets. First, what we'll do is I'll make a button so you can move the glow over to the right instead of the left. This will make the forum easier to use for left-handed people. Well, that's over-exaggerating a little bit. A lot of the little stuff that he added onto the site were actually useful, but a lot of it was just gadgets and buttons. Either way, the mods tried their damnedest to be friends with him because he seemed like he actually was helping the site on and off. It wasn't until one fateful day. One day, Eric Osborne's employers decided that they didn't need him around these parts anymore and kicked him onto the streets. Soon after, the site went down for a while, and everybody was forced to the alternative YCP, Planet Freedom. I'm sure you've already heard me talk about that. And here's where stuff stops being funny. After his personal life started going down the drain and he lost his job, it seems he had also lost his mind as well. He began doing some really weird and odd actions on and off the site. He even claimed people were trying to hack the site who weren't. He even somehow managed to make himself an admin, so this gave him full power and authority over the whole website. Negro Ted got wind of all of this and eventually demoted him down to just about nothing. Later, he even found out that Oz had been trying to get into Dobley's account. Finally, Ted banned him altogether. Now, Oz was already completely unstable and pretty much lost in a never-ending toxic sea of insanity. With Ted banning him, he was now completely gone. It was then he decided to launch a nasty, sinister plan. Oz's sinister plan! This plan involved turning all the YCP mods and members against each other in an attempt to make the site destroy itself. Now, during all this, through the few days that this happened, Dobley was gone. He didn't know what was going on. So with him out of the way, Oz was free to toy around with his account. Using the powers of his newly acquired super rage, he managed to log into Dobley's account. Faking himself as Dobley, he started PMing a whole bunch of people and messaging them and what have you, telling them random stuff, all in an effort to sabotage the site. In doing so, he managed to make one of the mods, Yamino M. Alex, believe that YCP user Cynical Sir, also known as Cynico, who fun fact, really loves my guts, by the way, Anyway, Oz, other words Fake Dopply, made Yamino believe that Cynico had been trying to hack the site. Then Fake Dopply also contacted Sin, this is a quote, feigning dissatisfaction with the moderation staff in an attempt to create a rift in the community. You still following me? No? Well, too bad, because it's really going to get confusing now. Well, to find out what was really going on and to find out why Sin would want to attack YCP in the first place, he decided to use some kind of forum thing that had never been used before to impersonate Papa Gonzalez, another YCP member kind of well known. Now, under this disguise, he started reading some of Sin's PMs using the forum thing he found. Unfortunately, Sin found out he was doing this, and then a real shitstorm started happening. So now Sin thinks that Yamino's up to something, and Yamino and everybody else thinks that Sin's up to something, while Oz is a fake Dopply, making all these people think all this shit. And now there's a whole war between all the YCP members because of a fake Dopply who is actually Eric Osborne, who was banned. Are you following? So yeah, this was the biggest ruckus ever brought upon YCP ever since Conrad Slater went crazy and left the forums. Finally, after all this mess, Sin tried to contact Dopply, who was fake Dopply, who was actually Oz, to finally get all this shit straightened out. It was then that Oz finally told him the whole evil scheme. And during all this, the rest of the YCP mods found out about all this crap, and according to Oz's plan, all started to fight amongst themselves, bitching and moaning and yelling and flaming and pretty much beating the shit out of each other for stuff they didn't do. And Sin got the worst of the heat. Then Oz, still playing a fake Dopply, told Sin that he could tell the mods and everybody else what happened if he didn't name any names. But Sin was under the impression that with Dopply involved, he would probably get banned if he said anything about it. Now here's where stuff finally starts turning back around. Some of Sin's contacts and friends and what have you started telling the moderating staff that Sin did not do any of this. Dopply orchestrated the whole thing. Finally, they started looking around at the admin logs and all that other stuff in the forum and found out that Dopply's account had in fact been tampered with. About that time, the real Dopply finally showed up and contacted the moderating staff. After answering all the questions and the charges against him getting dropped, he promised that he would look into the shit after he was done with his university classes. It was about that time that people of the YCP finally figured out that Oz was behind this whole thing because he had the tools and the talent to do all this kind of crap. They began banning IP addresses and started fortifying the site as quick as they could to make sure there was no way that Eric Osborne could ever get back into the site again, and that's still being worked on right now. They also later found out that Eric Osborne had added a keylogging virus which surfs out and looks for people's passwords on YCP. As soon as they found that, they shut the site down. So any of you kids who are on YCP, when the site comes back up, change your password as soon as it comes up. In the meantime, you can go to the website Planet Freedom for all your YCP needs. After everybody else had found out what had happened, they all apologized to Sin and Yamino and everybody else who had yelled at each other, blah, blah, blah. Everybody lived happily ever after. Now, where is Eric Osborne, you ask? He is still at large. His whereabouts are unknown. Some say he got arrested, but some say he's still out there and could very well attack the site again. Only time will tell as this story unfolds. And that, my friends, is the great YCP controversy. Just another good old-fashioned tale about a business deal gone bad. And to think I respected that guy, and then he goes and pulls some crap like this. It was then that we really started figuring out who Eric Osborne was. See, we didn't know any of this before then. Just all of a sudden, during the new layout time that YCP had when they were still trying to get everything together, this new mod just came out of nowhere. His name was Eric Osborne, and we're like, who the hell is this? It's like, this is the guy who owns our server. I'm like, who? It's like he's over the whole official YouTube Poop website, even though he's never really done anything for YouTube Poop before. Which is true. The man did not even know what YouTube Poop was before he was the tech staff for this site, y'all. I don't know if he even had a YouTube account or anything. He was just there. Just Dopply hires this strange person out of nowhere because he's got money in a server, and then he puts him over the whole damn site. That's what I ought to do. I ought to give YTP news to some random stranger. See how that goes. I mean, I won't lie. I thought this guy was doing something good for the site. And he was for a little bit. But, you know, that's one of my bad traits. I tend to trust people too much. But everybody else, on the other hand, they smelled something rotten. This moderating staff just comes out of nowhere, has no idea what YouTube poop is, and then tries to run the damn site. Does anybody remember that episode of Dr. House where he hires that janitor to be his sidekick? The only difference is the janitor didn't try to betray him and then take over Princeton Plainsboro Hospital. Though that would have made a hell of an episode. Well, the good news is, from the latest reports, YCP should be up pretty soon if they can scavenge up enough money to get the server going. Apparently, from reports, they got a new server, and it wasn't from a shady business deal. But with any luck, this will be the last time we ever have any really crazy-ass confrontations from YCP members or moderators going crazy or anything stupid like that. At least I hope so. I'm tired of that fucking site going down. Well, that's everything I got for y'all today, kids. No news today. This was a special show. So the special thing was that it was especially about this issue I just talked about. So yeah. Be mad, be pissy, be angry. I don't give a shit. I thought this was important enough for one whole show. So good night, chew fags and chew faggots and people who hate YouChew enough to say yay when you heard YouChew was down. Have a nice day, and to 98% of my subscribers, enjoy your country's little wedding thing. Skunks!